do in Digitalcat for the very first time and how to get it set up. You're going to have transcript editor on your desktop looking like this, but let's first go over where you want your files to be. You should put all of your files into Documents, Digitalcat, Transcripts folder. And what the files will look like, a TRN file is going to be your transcript file. It's going to look like that, just like the transcript editor. And these files are what ASCII files are going to look like. You might not have any of those. What you need to know to have your audio needs to go in the same folder. It's going to have a DM extension just like this. And you need to keep the names the same. When the reporter sends you something, don't rename it. Leave it exactly what it is, because the DM file is going to go look for that transcript file that matches up to that same name. If you rename it, you're going to have to go look for the DM file to attach it to it, and sometimes that works and sometimes it gets tricky. So just don't rename things, just leave them named what they ought to be, and then overwrite it as you do your work. And then we will overwrite it when we get it back. So, okay, so to do the very first job, you're going to go to Transcript Editor on your desktop, and you're going to open it like this. And first I'm going to show you a few little things to do in Transcript Editor. A few things that you can do with quick keys. So one of the things that you need to learn how to write is the Q&A. So to write a Q and get it in question format, you do Alt-Q, Alt-A, Alt-Q, Alt-A. Practice that till that's second nature. It's very easy to get used to these different quick keys, and when you put it in that format, it's automatically going to cap it. So if you have a Q, you can just start typing. And then you hit Alt A, Joe Blow is my name. Alt Q, how old are you? You don't have to hit a cap or anything like that. So practice with that a little bit. You won't have to add Q&As very often, but there are times you're going to have to, and you're going to need them to be in the correct format. That's one of the things that Digitalcat is good about, and sometimes a little bit tricky with, is the format of things. So we're going to show you that each formatting thing is in its own paragraph, and you can go up to Format, Paragraph, Change Current Style, or you can set up a quick key. I have a quick key for that, and it's Alt-P. So I hit Alt-P, and it brings that paragraph style up automatically. So let's say I want to do colloquy. I'm going to hit C, and then I'm going to pop down and hit colloquy. It comes up with a list of names. I don't do it that way, so I just hit Edit and get out of that. So we're going to do the colloquy. We're going to type it, put the colon, and it's automatically going to cap the next thing. There. So I don't want you to, and then it's going to keep in colloquy until you change it back to answer, for instance. But I do not want you to tab over if you're typing colloquy, because look what happens if I tab. You can see that it's off just a hair. And so what happens is, if I have something in my colloquy formatting through my steno machine and then you type it in, it's going to be off a little bit, and that's not good. We want everything to be lined up, so it needs to be in, the formatting. There's lots of formatting that you can do, but really Q&A and colloquy is about all you're going to need. If you're going to do a parenthetical, you're going to do paren, P-A-R-E-N. That puts a parentheses there, and then it keeps it, lined up like that. So, but if you just wanted to do a paragraph, you do Alt-P, which is my quick key. You can set a paren, hit paragraph, and this is a paragraph, and see how they're different colors. I have all these different colors set up. And to save my color settings, I believe when I send it to you, you can save it as a template. I'm not positive if those colors are the same, but you can save them, do them just like I have mine done, and I can help you with that if you'd like. This is a paragraph style, and it will round around to the furthest line back. No, it didn't. So, okay, so and then it will stay in paragraph until you go back to Q and etc. So those are just a few quick little things. I'm going to stop for a moment to check and make sure this recorded, and then we'll do some more. Back to the same screen here, and we are going to just fool around a little bit more with it. I want you to get very familiar with all the options that you have. Go up to these keyboard commands. You can make a keyboard command for literally anything. So one of the important keyboard commands is caret next word is arrow right for me. So that means that as I'm proofreading, I'll turn this off here in a second. As I'm proofreading, I can just keep hitting that arrow right if I'm listening to the audio, and it will just keep taking me to word for word for word. And same with arrow up and arrow down. Those are important keyboard commands. But you can set up any keyboard command in here. Another thing that you can set up is the quick keys. And those, I want to warn you, you go into quick keys by hitting the space bar, and that puts you into quick keys. So if you hit the space bar and want to go caret down, you just hit a K. I do not do these quick keys. Hitting that space bar and then hitting one letter and it jumping around all over everywhere is just too much for me. But if you like quick keys, that's how you get in them. So you need to know that if you hit the quick key, to go into the quick keys, I have removed out of here the standard keyboard commands that sends me into quick keys with the slash bar. But if yours is not removed, you're going to hit a slash and it's going to put you into those quick keys. And I would either remove it from these standard keyboard commands if it's already in yours, or just know to get a slash in the document, you have to hit control slash, and that will give you a slash. Otherwise, it's going to throw you into those quick keys. So I would recommend you go into these keyboard commands and try to get that out of there. Quick type is also something really cool. Let's say you are working in a job that has Kanawha County Board of Education a lot, and for some reason you're needing to type that in. You can make up a quick key for that, and what we've done is made up one that is KB. So I can type KB space, and it will just bring in Kanawha County Board of Education. So if you have something that you're typing and you don't want to type Kanawha County Board of Education a million times, hit KB space after you've set that up. I also work for Schumann, McCuskey, and Slicer a lot, so I have to put their name and address in my title page. So I've set them up as SHU, and I hit space, and it brings in all that information. So quick type is wonderful as well. Another one I have in there is K, just K, and that gives me OK. That becomes problematic when I'm trying to type out a word like Nick for my title page. It's going to give me that OK when I hit the space bar. But if I hold shift down when I hit the space bar, it doesn't do that. So, but we leave out OK a lot, and in video depositions, that has to be added back in. So as a proofreader doing video, you're going to find that you need to add OK period, 2 spaces, a lot. And quick type will give you that. So I'll pop back into that real quick again, just so you can see. The standard key commands are centering things, capitalizing whole words. I use my F keys for a lot of things. I had to go into the BIOS and change my F keys to be the dominant rather than the little things that they now have on them to be dominant. And that's an easy thing to do. You can Google how to do it and get your F keys to be dominant, so you can just hit an F key to play different things. Like F5 for me centers something, caret next word is F8, caret previous word F7. If I want to change a paragraph to colloquy style, I could just hit Alt-C. So, for instance, like I was showing you, if I need to change this to colloquy, I can hit Alt-C, and it will pop me to the speaker list. I just delete out of that, and I put my speaker in. And there are all kinds of quick keys you can do for just about anything. So just take some time and look at that. Maybe even delete out everything that came with your Stenocat, or not Steno, yeah, your Digitalcat. And if you want me to, I can send you my quick key command list, and you can just put in what I put in, and then use commands that are familiar to you, something you use already with WordPerfect or Word that you already know, like Control-C is center and Control-V is paste. Things that are your hands are gonna be used to do it already. Okay, now we're gonna go back and pretend that we are actually editing, or not pretend, but we're gonna talk about how to actually edit a real job. So if you had been sent a file, you would go to your Digitalcat, you would say open file, and you would find the name of the file. And this file is Alex Menard. That's a deposition I took this week. And so hopefully it's going to come to you with the title page on that. I want you to look over that title page, look for any mistakes. One thing that's sometimes needed is in a routine title sheet, I'll say plaintiffs. So if you see there's only one person there and it says plaintiffs, mark that, fix that. Just take it out, make it be plaintiff and defendant. Or if you see perhaps up here it says claimant and respondent, but down here I say something was taken by the defendant, then that would be wrong because it would be the claimant or the respondent. So on the title sheet there are things you need to look out for. You need to make sure all the names are spelled correct. You need to get familiar with how the names are spelled yourself so you see them throughout the deposition and you check whether they're correct. Another thing that's often missed is we will have it say, taken by the defendant under the West Virginia Rules of Civil Procedure. Well, if the case is pending in federal court and not pending in state court, it's not going to be taken under the West Virginia Rules of Civil Procedure. It's going to be taken under the federal Rules of Civil Procedure. So you would remove that out here and you would type in federal. This one is West Virginia, so I'm going to leave that in here. You check the date, make sure they've got 2017 instead of 16 on there. And another thing I'd like you to check is how things line up. We want our title page to be kind of aligned nicely. I'm going to reduce this down so we can see better, and you reduce and enlarge up here on these little magnifying glasses. So I want us to see the whole title page, and you see how this title page here is lined out pretty well. We've got, spaces in between each thing. Sometimes I'll get a transcript at the office and it will have everything crunched up here at the top and there's no kind of equal spacing so the page looks nice. So that's also something else I want you to watch for, is the spacing on the page. So I need things to be big, so I'm going to raise that back up again. And if you will also check the attorney's names, make sure you see who represents who, what their name is, so you don't mess up names throughout the deposition. Make sure that no one is talking, for instance, that was not there, those kind of things. And then we'll start with the witness paragraph, and we will do an automatic index. To do that, you highlight the witness's name and you go Control W, which is my quick key, that enters a new witness in. So then when at the end of the job, I can do an automatic index and bring in that witness. And what that's looking for is every time they have a new witness, it will look for examination and a byline after the examination. This is something my proofers constantly miss because I will put Mr. Moeller there, but then I need to manually go in and make that be a by Mr. Moeller. So what you might see is a Mr. Moeller here like this, and then you'll see the Q&A, and that is wrong. It always needs to be a byline paragraph there, back over to the left edge. So I'm going to delete this line here by hitting Control Delete, Control D, which is my quick key. And to make that Mr. Moeller, let's go back and do that again. If that Mr. Moeller had been there, and to make it a byline, I hit Alt B, which is my quick key, to make it a byline. That turns it into a byline, and it's correctly formatted. So that's something to watch for. Anytime you have an examination, make sure you have a byline, or the automatic index thing is not going to catch that. I'm going to go ahead and delete that because I had a byline. I'm going to stop and save this because I've been losing my work, and I'll be right back. Okay, so after you get all the bylines and things worked out, if you are proofreading for me, you will just begin reading and just go word for word for word. You don't have to do the word for word, like moving from word for word, unless you're listening. If you're listening, that's how I like you to do it. I'm going to go ahead and play the audio, and hopefully this will pick it up as well. And one thing, it's not going to because it's recording audio, so that's not going to work. So one thing that you need to have are earbuds that fit inside your ears. Something that you can, or even better, quality ones, but not the dollar ones you get from Dollar Tree or somewhere. They need to be good quality earbuds that fit inside your ear so you can hear well. So as you're reading, just, go along, and if, let's say that this was the name of a store and I didn't have it capped, you can have a quick key to cap that. So you can say, in a car wreck case, and just hit a quick key to cap it. And we always want to cap if it says the plaintiff, Mr. Mugridge, use your capitalization rules. If something is right before it or right after it, you do cap it. Otherwise, we don't cap plaintiff and defendant unless it's particularly describing them. So as you are going on, I'm going to go ahead and pop down to an untranslate. I have a key that pops to untranslates. And as I said in one other thing, I think I said this is how we write our notes to each other in Digitalcat. So this check here means to my proofreader that I have not checked the accuracy of this spelling. So that means that I would like you to check that. So pop out on Google, see if you can find this person, and let's say their name is spelled with an E, just go ahead and fix it. And then remove the check here, take that away, and my quick key for that is Control right arrow or Control left arrow will remove those quickly and easily. Removes a word. Control right arrow, control left arrow. And to undo something, you hit Control Z and it'll pop back in. Don't think I showed the screen that talks about, I've done this 2 or 3 times and some of it blew up, so now I'm forgetting what I told about. But the editor options here have a lot of different options. Break line or hyphen, use quick shift for capitalization. That means you can hit shift real quickly and it'll cap an entire word. Let's say I'm right here by have and I hit shift twice. Well, hold on. Let's say I'm in this word and I hit shift 2 times. It's going to make it all caps. If I go back on it and hit shift again, it's going to take it back down. And another thing this editor thing does is it has a thing for whether you put punctuation location after current word or before current word. And what that does is you can be on top of a word. Here we're on have, and if you think that needs a comma after it, you just hit comma and it will go after the word. So you can just keep hitting that and it will keep going. So I'm going to take that off. And same for like apostrophes. If you want to add apostrophe S, you can type, let's see, apostrophe S there, and if you're in the middle of that word, you can hit that. It'll move to the outside, or it'll take it off, or it'll come back, move to the outside, take it off. So you can fool around with punctuation, but it's always going to go to the end of your word if you have it marked that way. And that was in Options, Editor, and it's punctuation before word, after word. And some of these other screens up here, the options, file locations, that tells you where all your files are, which I went over that with you earlier. And we have options, document, and that is our formatting that you shouldn't have to worry about. It should come to you formatted in the right formatting. We have options, general, and that talks about autosave. You want to set your autosave up every 5 minutes or so, not every 30 minutes, and that way you don't lose anything in there. So explore all these, different things. Some of them won't apply to you because they're steno related, but display, that shows line numbers, page breaks. If you need to know what those are, I can send you screenshots of what mine are, but these are important details because if you hit a comma on top of a word and you didn't realize it's going to put that at the end of the word, you might make a mistake. So as you're reading along, here's another thing I wanted to show. As you're reading along and you see what we go into colloquy if an attorney starts talking to somebody else other than the person that they are questioning, you put that in colloquy format. So Mr. Moeller turns over to the other attorney and he says, "That's how I knew it was down the hall." So he and Mr. White have a little conversation and then he goes back to talking to the witness. So some court reporters will have, let's say that there was a question here, and let me just say that there was an objection here. We're going to put Mr. Moeller in as an objection. A lot of court reporters will have the next answer that is yes. They'll put that in as the witness, which if it's a deposition, it's the deponent. If it's a court hearing, it's the witness. But some court reporters will put it in like that. They'll put the witness. But we don't do that, and I don't want you doing that because the questioner was asking the question, okay, with respect to this Troy Mudridge, and let's say the objection came, and the answer went back to what the question was asking. The answer did not talk back to Mr. Moeller. So if, for instance, the witness had turned to his attorney in that time and said to his attorney, "What do I do?" and he wasn't talking back to the questioner, then yes, you would put that as colloquy. But if the questioner and the answerer, the questioner and the witness are speaking back and forth to each other, that is always Q&A, Q&A, Q&A. So if you have a reporter that sent you something and they are doing it the other way, we don't like to do it that way, but if they've done it that way for years and years and you can't change them, that's fine, but that's not our standard. So as you're going along and you read, we want you to just correct what you see that is wrong. Listen to the audio when you need to. If you're not sure of something, if you just think, "Oh, wow, I think he said did here," write me a note. And that way, when you send it back to me, I'm going to listen to it again and I'm going to make the decision. If something's iffy, leave a note in there. Let me make the decision because it's my name that's on it. And you are covering my rear by what you're doing, so you don't want to make a judgment call, let's say. So here's another check. It was through Dr. Howe's office, and you want to look up Dr. Howe in Marietta. Sometimes the reporter just does not have time to do all these Googling. They are trying to get the job out the door to you like in the evening after they've done it, or the next day, and they've got to go on to another job. And so those are things that you can check and you can really help them. I can see right here that congenitally is misspelled. My quick key for spelling of one word is F12. I'll hit that, and it's going to come up and it's going to give me some choices, and I'm going to choose one of those, and that's your spell check. I also have Alt B for a batch spell check, and that will bring up the spell check of the whole job. Control B, Control B. And these are the things that will come up. Obviously, this job hasn't been all the way corrected, so a lot of crazy stuff is in there. But it will show you if you have double words. It will show you if you have double colloquy, double questions and answers. That kind of thing. So here's another check. This pars defect, I'm not sure what that is, and I need you to check that. And this is intervertebral. I'll put that in, but you may see something like that. That is basically raw steno coming across, and the reporter just missed putting that in there. So I can add that really quickly, and I will spell check it from adding it in here, make sure it's right, and it's good. So I don't have to have you check that anymore. So as you read along, just go slow, be careful. One thing we want to do, we spell out numbers 1 through 10, but we don't spell them out if, for instance, they'll say it could be 6 out of 10. It's easier to read if you see those numbers that way, but let's say that they said it was 1 to 18. We are going to use numbers all the time, 1 to 18 in the same sentence. We are going to be consistent with that. So it's one way or another that we do our numbers. And those are all rules that we have in other documents. This is just trying to help you understand how to work with Digitalcat. Okay, we're back and we're in that same job. I'm going to show you just a couple other things and then we're going to end this because it's probably getting too long. One thing that is hard to put in is interrupted dashes. So let's say that we wanted these two questions to join together. So if he trails off, let's say he's trailing off here, and we've got dashes, and then it needs to join back together because the witness here interrupted. It's hard to put those dashes at the front because it wants to put them after, the punctuation after, and you have to almost go back and backspace and then put them in and uncap that, and that's just kind of unwieldy. So if you've got two questions that need joined by dashes, I have a quick key that is Alt I or Control I, and I hit that and it puts the dashes at both places. So if I unhit that, it takes them off, and or if I hit that again, it takes them off. And I have one as well for answer, which is Control Alt I, and it will put the answers and make the answers go together there. So that's a lot easier, is to set yourself up a quick key to add those dashes in. And that's something you need to watch for as to whether a question got interrupted and it needs to continue on the next line if the witness interrupted right in the middle of the question. Those kind of things. Hopefully your reporter is going to send you something that's relatively clean and they have done their punctuation as they go. But if they didn't, you may need to listen to the audio and try to tell where the interruptions were and put those dashes in there. I can't really think of anything else to tell you other than when you get to the end, set up a quick key. Mine is Control page up, takes you to the very beginning, Control page down, takes you to the very end. I have a quick key. My home and end keys take me to the beginning of a sentence or the end of a sentence. Those kind of things. So just get your quick keys, memorize them, print them out if you need to, get yourself a list. At the end of the job, when you think you're done, you want to do Alt F, save, and you want to leave it the same name that it was to start with. Say save as transcript, and the name pops up and you want to save it as that same name, and you want to overwrite what you had there before. And those are some tips. As I get questions, I'll make another video with other tips. I hope this has been helpful to you, and just play with it. Hold on there, I see another mistake. That's a steno, I'll have to find that one. But see, that's how we find mistakes. And GRZEIK, so you can highlight that and you can set up your right click to be different things as well. And so I'm going to copy that and put that in there with Control V. Yes, I want to go to formatting, and there we go. That one's fixed. You're going to get to the point where it's easy, where you are not worried about every little thing you hit, but it's a matter of getting your fingers used to the quick keys, used to moving around the keyboard in a fast and efficient manner. So don't waste time doing things, how should I say, stupidly, when you can make up a quick key and do them a lot faster. So I'm going to save this again because I just found that other mistake. I'm going to override it, and it's ready to be sent to the proofreader. Have a great day. Thanks for listening.